Good morning and welcome to Wake Up with the Consciousness Café. My name is Lisa Ferraro. I'm the founder and spiritual director of SoulCall Global. And this morning, I am so excited to welcome one of my very favorite people on the planet and somebody I've worked with closely, my mentor coach and brilliant human, Dr. Veronika Tracy-Smith. Welcome this morning.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
And you're joining us from sunny California.
Yes, I am.
Beautiful.
Southern California.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Dr. Veronika Tracy-Smith, she is a professional coach certified with the International Coach Federation. She's been a professional doctor of psychology for over 30 years. You taught, you are an author of best-selling books on meditation, mindfulness, spiritual intelligence coaching. The list goes on, but we only have 15 minutes. You can check out more about her. Most exciting for me right now is to say we are offering a class through SoulCall Global in February called Trauma and Spirituality. This is an area you have extensive experience working in, Veronika, and we're so grateful that you're going to be sharing that wisdom in this class. Trauma and spirituality. I think some people out there think that as soon as you become spiritual, that is the cessation of trauma. Isn't that true?
Oh gosh, no. Maybe we have more tools at that point and more kind of foothold in order to hang on to more so that we can process it or deal with it or face it in a new way, that we grow developmentally so we can do that.
Yeah. When I'm talking to people about this class or the idea of trauma and spirituality, you and I have been talking about offering this for some time now. I think people have ideas from things they've experienced before about trauma and how to move through it or clear it. And some of those haven't proven to be as effective as others. Tell us a little bit about this class and your experience on the mind, body, spirit, the body's portion of what to offer, the neural connections and things like this.
Well, it's interesting because the field has really changed from the time that I started. I started working in domestic violence when I first started in the field of human services and then went into marriage and family therapy and finally got my PhD in psychology. But the neuroscience wasn't really there. We didn't understand how to heal. And the old way of healing was to talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. And I did that for my own traumas, thinking eventually I'm going to heal. And what's wrong with me? I mean, here I am, a psychologist, and I still can't heal. I still have flashbacks. I still have the startle response. What's going on? That there's something wrong with me that I can't heal my trauma. And probably the work in hypnosis that I was trained in early in my career had the most profound effect on that. Although it wasn't long lasting unless you kept at it. But meditation, some of the spiritual practices to keep helping the nervous system to calm. And that is now what the neuroscience is showing. So talking about our trauma over and over actually keeps the same neural pathways, just, grinding out these grooves. So we keep kind of doing this downward spiral and feeling like we're not actually healing some of the post-traumatic stress disorder experiences, symptoms that we have. And so where we are now is really integrating, you brought up the body because it is integrating the nervous system, and the body is the physicality place is where we experience emotions, but we don't know that. A lot of times we're trying to work our emotions out and our struggles in our head and talk about. And unless we incorporate the whole neural pathway system, the nervous system, the body, then we are disconnected. And the spiritual part is we're disconnected from who we came here to be, or our essential self, our divine self, our higher self, in whatever way you want to define that for yourself.
We say our soul's calling here, but
yeah.
Yeah, you touched on something really interesting. And when you and I were talking the other day, you said something about what this opportunity in trauma and spirituality, this workshop, and the work you do aside from the workshop, people should seek you out and, and try to get into this experience of it, because instead of the downward spiral, it teaches how to spiral upward and out of. In this, I want to ask you about something we hear often is spiritual bypass.
Mm.
And I feel like what you touched on here and what I heard was that the spiritual bypass aspect of it is, what's wrong with me? If I can't think past these thoughts, it's what I'm hearing you say is it's not all thoughts. It's
Not at all, right?
that's
Yeah.
so encouraging. That's such a huge shift. I hope people really hear that, because I know in my own coaching practice, you hear people saying things like, people will come right in and start with like, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you.
Yeah, yeah. And I said that plenty of times with myself. And why can't I get past these things? And the startle response, because I have this incredible startle response, or, flashbacks, or, when things come up and the way that trauma shows up. And you might not even remember what the trauma was. And in this way that we're going to do this class, and the way that the healing that I do, you don't have to remember it all. You don't have to talk about it till it's bringing it all up. We actually do quite the opposite. We keep going into safe and connected, and then touching in and listening to how the body even needs to move in order to heal itself.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This is about healing yourself, not having some guru trying to, put something on you to heal you. This is going back again and again. And I think in our spiritual groups, the awakening to self-healing, not having somebody else outside of you be the master of your healing, but you're the master of your healing. And so we're going to do a roadmap to your nervous system in order to heal. And that to me is so much more profound, because when we come up with ideas, this about coaching, when a client comes up with their own ideas, they're much more likely to hang on to them and carry them out, because it's their idea. And that's what we want to do, is empower other people, and and not be like, oh, I healed you. You are now healed, right?
Yeah, you should follow me forever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, part of the journey and the process, and you just said it again, is sometimes we don't even know what the trauma was. And so that's profound too, because it does speak to and almost solidifies the comment before of like just talking about. What if you don't even know what it is and you can't talk about? It feels like we're working it, as Rumi would say, to the root of yourself. And you and I, we're just scratching the surface of what we get to do together. And I'm so excited to offer this class with you. We did it one time for the international coaching, not the international, the spiritual intelligence community. And just the curriculum, the way you put it together, it just makes so much sense. And it's so easy. I'm saying this for the people listening it's just such a gentle invitation, nothing jarring, jolting. Just the invitation is there to come to the root of
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, and that's such a good point that I want to make also, that this course is about doing your own self-healing, but there is so much that impacts us that we don't even know. And we talked about maybe doing another class that will be more of the intergenerational healing, backwards and forwards, what's coming, who those souls that are coming after us. And then there's the collective trauma that we're all inside of right now on this planet, with COVID and all, just even that fear response about, can another human being infect me? That has brought a lot of trauma for people. And then where do we go after we've had COVID? My whole family had it over the holiday, and, okay, whew, we're through that one,
Yeah.
survived it, but a year ago, maybe not the same situation. And all the people who've lost people due to COVID and complications related to it. Yeah. So that's the collective trauma. And there's so many more collective traumas that are also intergenerational traumas. So when we think about, what's this about in me? Well, gosh, we can go back some generations and even understand. And it gives us a greater capacity for compassion for ourselves, which is where true healing happens. And the compassion and forgiveness we can do generationally.
Yeah. When did you first realize or get onto it in this way? When did you first have the inspiration to put this class together based on things you were noticing with or experiencing with clients or
Oh, gosh, I don't know. Things just weave themselves together sometimes. It's just something that I have done and felt inadequate doing
Mhm.
work with trauma through the years. Like, I think we've all been inadequate in the
Yeah.
field, and for ourselves and for our clients, just, so the more that I know, the more I always want to share
Yeah.
and to bring these two incredible paths of my life, really working with helping to heal myself and helping to heal others and help to heal humanity in some ways, because we're so far disconnected from each other in some ways.
Yeah.
And spirituality. And I burned out at one point in my 40s because they were felt so far apart.
Right. How
Mhm.
is this work? And I know there are people out there who've been at it, really trying to get through their trauma and let it go. And how is this work different from shadow work?
Well, I
It's
could
really
say that,
popular for a
yeah,
while.
shadow work is very popular, especially in the spiritual communities. I would say there's some overlap, but it's not digging into what's wrong. And, I mean, I still bring in some cognitive stuff like the inner critic and understanding we have other parts of ourselves and other voices. And sometimes our inner critic is louder, and bringing in how can we balance that with compassion and understand the inner critic needs some attention. And,
Right.
so that's a bit of tapping into that. But the real work is done in understanding your nervous system from a more of a witnessing place, and helping yourself to see that you're just in different states, and to be able to move out of a state of distress much more quickly and have a place to go. That, when you're in the middle of it, it just feels overwhelming. But the more that you develop this roadmap really of your nervous system, and understand this is one state, this is another state, and this is another state, and noticing in your physicality where you are, will help you to move back up through the states to get to a place where you're grounded, safe, and connected, that you don't have to stay in that misery. And that's when we've had trauma, we get stuck in one spot or another, or we get stuck sometimes in two states where we're really locked down and we have the fight or flight response going on and a collapse all at the same time and freezing.
Yeah.
um, Horrible experience.
So just scratching the surface with you, I feel so grateful to have you working together with us and all the things you do. What is a website if people wanted to learn more about you? Where can they go?
Consciousnessnowcoaching.com. We
Right.
have that. And we also have raisingconsciousnessnow.com, where we have a lot of articles on there, a lot more than on Consciousness Now Coaching. Yeah.
Dr. Veronika Tracy-Smith, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And thank you for offering this class together, Trauma and Spirituality, coming February, Tuesday evenings, Eastern Time in February for 4 weeks. So if there's something you would really like to really do some work on and get empowered with the tools to take ownership of yourself, kind of like harnessing the reins of the cart, join us. The invitation is there. And remember, wherever you are loved. Peace and blessings.